It's Tap In with TT. My special guest today is Emory Jones. How are you?
I'm amazing.
First of all, I am so excited to talk to you. You have been on one of my bucket lists of people that I've wanted to sit down and have a conversation with because I find your story so amazing, your journey, your process. And you don't do a lot of interviews.
No, but I think I'm doing this interview because we just had a conversation, and I think we both look at the world the same way as humans, right? And when you look at it that way, there's no difference. That's what makes it intriguing once you really get to meet me.
Yeah,
It's the same. It's like people walk away and be like, "Nah, he's one of us.
he's a
He's
real
me.
one.
He's me." You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So I think that's the beauty of it. And just hearing what you just told me off camera,
yeah.
we think the same way.
Let me tell you why I find you and just the whole Roc Nation, your whole camp so fascinating. Cause I come from an environment that was super, how do I say it? Trauma filled, very poverty at a level that sometimes I think did I really live like this? Like, and sometimes I put mental blocks on to not even able to go back to those spaces. And the thing that I find so fascinating about what you have done and what Jay has done with having his entire camp around him from day one is that you guys give people like me hope and something to aspire to be like. And it may not happen overnight and you may have to go through some things, but it's a process and a journey to get to the end.
Right.
And then when you get to that journey and you get to that what you think is, that mountain, that you find something else that's more intriguing, that pushes you to the next level.
I think when you look at it, I think for me, I keep talking about the human side of it, right? Being from where we from, with all that turmoil, right? Sometimes we only see the bad, right? But through all that madness, that human side is what got us by, right? It's like, we grew up in areas where as though your mom might be getting high, your dad might be in jail, somebody did, or, we just don't have that people in your family or in your life is that thing. But then my friend next door, his grandmother is the one
Yeah.
who wraps her arm around all of us, right?
Right.
So that human side right there, I think that's what we have done collectively is continue to look at the human side of who we are and being good humans first to elevate with all this success, right? Because once you lose that, it gets,
It gets muddy. I
it gets
always
muddy.
say, if your heart stays clean and pure, and your intentions always stay on the right track, then there's nothing that you can't accomplish, or no adversity can stop you because your heart is clean.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, think about it. We far from perfect.
Right.
We still learn too every day, right? But when your heart is in the right place and continue to have this moment where it's during 2023, we're still continue to push the boundaries, still continue to open the door, not just for us, for us.
Yeah.
Like that's our mindset. Like, we get a lot of backflap and all that, but our mindset every day is how can we continue to open the door for us?
Yeah. Yeah. And how do we don't stop when we get frustrated or master the art of patience?
I mean, patience is I think we all have it, right? Because to survive what you just said you went through and to be here in this position
Yeah.
takes some patience.
Takes a lot of patience.
Takes a lot of patience. I think we got to start triggering them patience to certain situations and look at it differently. Let's not use patience when something wrong. Let's lose patience when we winning, right? For me, my mindset is it's probably one of the last few years is probably far as from a successful and the accolades and the money is probably the best years of my life, right? But I've learned to take a step back when I win. Like I embrace it, I
You
enjoy it, I
You
celebrate
take a moment to breathe it in.
But I take a step back just to see it clearly because you know what? Like you just said, I'm looking for more. I'm reaching for more. So if I step back at the highest moment,
Yeah.
my mindset and my intentions and my focus is different.
Yeah. I always say it to master the art of patience, when you've excelled to a certain level is a skill set that's in you. Think about somebody like a LeBron James who has won so many accolades, so many rings, and he has to go. But what he does is very repetitive, right? The gym, eating right, focus, da 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 da. I'm sure at some point he gets probably bored with that routine, right? Bored at like just like okay, I've done all of this, but to get to that next level, he has to master the art of patience and boredom.
But think about it. We talk about all the accolades with LeBron, but I think the thing that I love about LeBron more than anything is him as a human. Not on the court, not just on the court, the way he carries through life as a human, right? So I think for him, it's easier to have patience when you're waking up and being you every day. A lot of times people wake up and don't be them.
Yeah.
So that's the frustration right there, because it's like you see what's happening and you want to be that. And as we all strive to be that, but to be that thing that you see and you like, you still have to be you in that position. And when you understand you and you wake up every single day, like I know who I am. I know when I walk in the room who I am, what I'm bringing to the table, and what I stand for. So when I walk in the room, I'm bringing something to any room I go in.
But how do you discover? How do you get to the journey of discovering you? And I asked that question as someone who still feels like there's a lot of me that I want to discover, and there's a lot of me that I don't know yet. But there's also a part of me that has discovered. You know what I'm saying? But how can you break that down for me?
I mean, it's an everyday process. It's like discovering, like I just said, is the best time of my life, right? But I'm still every day discovering a better part of me, or discovering something I need to work on for me, right? To become better. I think the everyday process of understanding that even when you feel like you'd accomplished something, if you work on you even more to find a better you, there's way more to accomplish.
Yeah.
Like I was in the office yesterday and I was like, man, I feel like Ali in his prime.
Wow.
In a moment where those things are just, it's like I just feel like I'm just getting started.
Yeah.
Like, and to have that feeling with all these great things
That's
going
how
on,
I feel.
I feel like I'm just getting started, because I am starting to find me and better me. Because before, my process was everybody else and put everybody before myself. And that's a great trait, right? But I can't be great for everybody if I don't understand and get better myself.
Yeah. There was one interview you did, and like I said, I studied you, and I know you don't do a lot, but you said something so interesting and so I found just speaks to the human side of you. You said the first thing when you were in prison, the first thing you said to Jay when you come home is that he doesn't owe you anything.
Yeah, and that was something that I said not to just Jay. And that's the beauty of when you look at it, Jay is an easy, algorithm to say Jay, but I looked at everybody and put everybody in that space of, think about it. I don't want to put my pressures on y'all. It's already enough pressure that your loved one is gone. So that you can't, just as much as I'm doing time, if someone loves you and you're gone, that's a lot of pressure. You know what I mean? It's the pressure on everybody, right? But I looked at that stage of, it's already enough on everybody else. It's already enough on him trying to figure out his next steps, and things are taking off. So, hearing it from his guy, this is guy that he knows love him genuinely. Like it's no nothing. I think
It's pure.
it's pure. So I think it was really a way of just giving him leeway to deal with all the other stuff that he has to deal with, right? So I just put it in that perspective, because I think sometimes when you in them situations, mentally you're so caught up in the fact that it's all bad happening that you don't see nothing else. And it's like, you know what? Let me make myself stronger from the door and be like, you know what? This is something that I put myself into.
But that's what I admire about you, though, is that you don't come off as bitter or like, I don't know how to describe it. Like, like.
Yes, I mean, think about it. I feel like life is ordained.
Yeah.
Everything is already set in stone. The good, the bad, and the ugly. So I look at that chapter as just a small chapter in such a big book of life. So I don't put as much emphasis in it as a lot of people do.
Do
And
you like sharing it and talking about it?
I really don't, because I feel like, we put so much emphasis on things like that, was though, yes, it was major, yes, it's a real thing, but it doesn't define who I am. It's just a little part of that, road map that I had to go left here, had to go right here, I had to go over, sit on the side of the road for a little bit till the tires get fixed and get back on the road. But it's all going to the same journey. You know what I mean? I just told somebody, it was like, there's a lot of people that do time and their life changed drastically in 1 year.
Absolutely. My best friend did 8 years. And the greatest thing about her, and one of the things that me and her talk about a lot is, and it's hard for her to talk about certain things too. And there was a period of who she was that had to block off a lot of stuff. But the great thing that I tell her is that for some, you're like their biggest inspiration. And then sitting here talking to you now and sitting in this moment is, for me, it's like like you're a big inspiration to a lot of people.
And yes, and I think, that's the part that makes me balance that conversation and that chapter, because I don't want to put emphasis on it the way it was put emphasis on me. Like growing up, I was taught from some OGs that going to jail was getting your stripes. And I'm like, as you get older, you're like, what type of stripes is that? You know what I mean? Like, nah, I'd rather be the guy that never sees that. You know what I mean? I'd rather be the guy who had a job and, got a chance to not put his mother through that pain that I probably put my mom through, right?
Yeah.
She's my best friend. She the one that made me the man I am. So imagine the pain, even though she made it through, but imagine the pain that she dealt with during that process of her baby is in that situation, right? So for me, I just like to balance it, because, like I said, it's a real chapter and it means a lot to a lot of people, and I understand why. But I think when you're trying to get to somewhere that we don't even know where we can go, you can't emphasize not on that. Like I said, when there's a big win, you can't put as much emphasis in that, because it'll keep you stuck.
It'll keep you in this state of like repeating trauma over and over and over again. And it's so interesting. I was having a conversation with someone the other day, and I said, I don't like to talk about my journey as much as people like to ask me, because a lot of young girls always like to ask, and like, oh my God, you're such an inspiration. And it's like, yeah, I know that, but it's like, I don't like to stay there, because it can put you in a dark place. But look at this world beyond that. You know what I'm saying? And
I mean, that's the beauty of you. Like, let's say you're talking, and like you said, when you look at it, I'm the same type of player, right? When I go to the office, I treat everybody the same.
Yeah.
I treat the guy cleaning the bathroom the same as the guy who's leading the sports or leading this, right? Because, at the end of the day, yes, he might be cleaning the bathroom, but he's cleaning the bathroom to make us look good.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm always that. If there's some trash on the floor, I'm picking it up. I'm not waiting for the guy to come and I'm going to pick it up. If I walk out here right now and there's a piece of trash on the floor and it's right in front of me, I'm picking it up, putting it in the trash. It's just, having that mindset of just looking at it through a balanced lens. You know what I mean? I just love looking through life through that balanced lens, because, like you said, far from perfect.
Yeah.
Still got things to work on, still trying to grow, but having that balance gives me more room to get to that next step.
To grow. Absolutely. And let's talk about the vision for the mixtape and the Puma deal, and like, at that moment when you was creating, what were you thinking?
For me, I was thinking about culture. I was thinking about culture and us being in 50 years of hip hop. I was thinking about culture more than I was thinking about Puma, more than I was thinking about Foot Locker, more than I was thinking about myself. It was like, how can I take this situation and add a page or a line to this big book called Hip Hop Culture?
Yeah.
And it was like, you know what? It's an honor to do that, because without hip hop culture, I wouldn't be where I am.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's part of my DNA. That's part of my bloodline, right? So I looked at it through that lens of, how can I add?
Right.
How can I add to something that's brought me so much joy, right? And I came up with this, like, the sneaker itself. We did it 5 years ago for Complex Con. And it was a great thing, and it was, reselling for like $2,500 a pair. And I kept getting asked from Puma to do it again. And I kept saying no, no, because I'm stuck in that mind. I've been with Puma going on 12 years now, and
Right.
I don't want to be defined on how many shoes I sell.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
once you play that game, once you play that,
then you stuck in that. You stuck in that game
it's
of
what's
like,
the next one?
what's the next one, and the
what's
next
how much
one.
it's selling, and
Yeah.
I didn't want to do that. I wanted to do something culturally relevant, cultural shift,
timeless.
and timeless that just add to what I know and seen, and what then helped me. So it was more or less like, what, opportunity came, and I was like, I just thought about it, and Big D and Sherry and the whole Roc Nation label team, I think they have been doing a great job of identifying great talent, but great talent that's good human beings.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I connected more to the artist from a human side.
Right.
And just been dealing with them over the years, and just been looking out when I can, whenever they ask,
Right.
just being there.
Yeah.
And I like them as being good humans. So it was like, you know what? Let me see how I can give them a little runway to help them with what they're already doing.
Right.
So I was like, you know what? I'll do the sneaker again, but we got to do a mixtape with it.
I love that.
You know what I mean? So it's like, let's do a mixtape, but nah, we're gonna do a mixtape. But guess what? We're gonna put a chip in the shoe, and you only get the shoe mixtape off the shoe.
Matter of fact, let's talk about the chip while you just mentioned that. Look at this amazing body of work. This is like a piece of art on your feet. Okay, yeah. All you sneakerheads who are watching this video, the chip, and our team got to zoom in. It's in the tongue of the sneaker.
Yes, and like I said, I'm not a
the color work is beautiful.
Yeah, I'm not a tech guy, but I think for me, it was another chance for me to pay homage to someone else I respect so much. Mm-hmm. And the first time I ever seen technology like that through fashion or through that's just in general was Nip in his store. Mm-hmm. And you walk in his store, his whole store was built out like that. Yeah. You can see and go into a virtual world. Yeah. And I was like blown away. Like I was blown away.
Because look at this. This is even like the shoelaces.
Oh yeah.
It's so intricate. Look, it's so
it's details. It's everything.
Yeah.
It's detail. I mean, that's what we grew up on, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the beauty of,
paying attention to details is a very, very important thing. Yeah. That can take you from here to here. Just paying attention to the small details.
And then we talk about a mixtape, right? Mixtape started with the cassette.
Yeah.
So this is a cassette, right?
Yeah.
Then you had to plug in the ear, you had to put it in your little Walkman or whatever. You plug in because you didn't always have a boom box.
Then you had to plug in the cord for your headphones.
Yes, you know what I mean? So it's like getting into your mode, right?
Yeah.
So it felt like, to me, it was like getting into your mode of life. You know what I mean? It's like, for me, it's like putting on the shoe is like taking you to your mode of life. You know what I mean? I tell people all the time, if you have never tried test drive the Porsche, this shoe reminds you of driving a Porsche.
Oh, the colors are amazing. How did you come up with let's just talk about the design a little bit, like the colors and the schemes of the colors, like.
Well, it's all based off of when you go back and you pull up the old TDK tapes.
Yeah.
And the different cassette, that's based off of real TDK cassette tapes. So it's like you taking that and you adding your twist to it, and you go from there, and it's just like adding. The ones I got on, think about it, Sony Walkman.
Yeah.
The Sony disc player.
To this generation who only understands the digital world of mixtape, explain how important the DJ is to the success of an artist, or just even like the vibe.
I mean, think about it. We got another shoe. There's 3 of them that's for sale. There's one that's based off the MP3 player. When you look at music now and you talk about streaming and playlists, right? That's somebody being a DJ. Mm-hmm. They just don't call themselves the DJ. That's somebody. Even if you program the titles of that of the world and you put a song in there and the song can go to different things, all you do is got a computer DJ, right? Yeah. It started with the DJ.
Yeah.
The DJ was everything. The DJ was the superstar before anything.
Before the artist. Absolutely. I remember being a young girl going to Jamaica Ave, hunting down a DJ Clue tape. Matter of fact, when I fell in love with hip hop, I remember Clue Amade. Hey. I had my Walkman. I was walking and he dropped, I think it was the Mary J. Blige record. And I heard that knock. And I was like, what is this? Up until that point, I'm going to be honest with you. I was listening to gospel. My mother kept us in church. Sun up, sundown, Bible study on Sunday. She was Pentecostal. So I was always consumed with church music, right? And I used to be like, Mom, why do you pray to God so much? And look how we live. But she built that spirit in me to believe beyond the imaginable, so I understand it as I got older. But I remember the first time hearing hip hop and hearing Clue's mixtape, I used to fiend for it. And I used to go like the K Slay mixtapes and search Jamaica Ave and like.
I mean, think about it. For me, it's that feeling, right? Because I had a friend. I got a friend that's still a friend. My friend DJ Randy P was making mixtapes in '82 in this small town.
Wow.
Like he was so, and I gave him the name, the positive one, right? Why?
Wow.
Because his family was the same way. They was church.
Wow.
His family was preachers, church, blah, blah, blah. But he was the one that loved music and started DJing. So I gave him that name, the positive one, because the DJ was our internet back then. The DJ
really
was our social media. The DJ showed us what other people was or could be just through the music. You can hear the pain, the same pain and the vein and through the music, because think about it, the mixtape was a pot of gumbo. You never knew who was on that. And then everybody had their different sounds. So if I'm this way, Clue gonna give you this. If K Slay was in a space, he was giving you this. If you such and such, his pocket was this, right? And it's funny because the first time I ever heard Do You Wanna Ride?
Who was that?
The song that Jay did for me.
No. Who was the? Where'd you hear that? Who played it?
I was on my finish coming home in a bed, upstate New York in Otisville, and it was a correctional officer who worked the kitchen, brought me into his office, and pulled out a DJ K Slay mixtape, and that's the first time I heard. Physically, I mean, Jay had rapped it for me over the phone, but that was the first time I put it in and played and heard the complete song. Rest in peace, K Slay. The first time ever I heard that song was on a K Slay mixtape in the system.
And how did that make you feel in that moment?
It was surreal. I think it was just as surreal as when I walked into the museum and seeing what's going on. It's just heavy.
Yeah.
Just that moment, knowing I know the song that I had heard some of the lyrics, but when you plug it in and you hit play and you play it, and I was like, and then think about it, I'm in a moment where as though look where I'm at, look what I'm dealing with, and to play that, and the officer knew how much that was gonna mean to me, like to play that, like it made him
boost you.
Yes, it was like
it
was like wow, you know what I mean? It's like an unreal moment, like you. Even at that moment, I pitched myself now and I pitched myself then.
Yeah.
Even going through that process, right?
Sometimes you got to pinch yourself like, is this really real?
Is this really real at that moment? So it really prepared me even more to understand what opportunities was in front of me.
Right. Right. And so fashion, like tell me, how did you discover your love for fashion?
It's always been my thing.
Because I read that somewhere too. I heard that you was always the flashy guy out the crew, like fashion guy, not flashy, but always the fashion guy. You was just always into it.
I mean, think about it. For me, I'm a country boy first.
Yeah.
So
where you from originally?
I'm from Maryland, but I'm from a small town called Cambridge, Maryland.
Okay.
And like I said, to this day, 13,000 people, right?
Right.
So when you're dealing with that, and then I got to before I deal with the world, I got to deal with family first, right?
Yeah.
So I got my cousins from Baltimore, then I got my cousins from D.C., right? And then my grandfather from Trenton, so I got my cousins coming from Jersey, right? So I got all this
fashion, big city,
and everybody coming in, what they think. And for me, I've just always been in tune with fashion. I always studied it. It's always been my thing, because I tell people all the time, it's been the universal language for me. Mm-hmm. It's been that thing that it don't matter where you at, what color, young or old, is a thing that we all can relate to. We all can have a conversation with, because it's not about the brands. You still got to step into the clothes.
You still got to swag it out.
You still got to you got to step into them. So for me, I've always been that way, because it started with sneakers. Me and my best friend till this day is a white kid from across the tracks, and I'm from the projects. And we started trading sneakers in second grade.
Wow.
We had, at that moment, we understood the value of, if you got a few shoes that I don't have and I got something you don't have, If we trade, we can come in with extra little fits that
Right. That
no one
nobody
at that moment.
they not thinking of.
At that moment. So I got an extra look and I can come in, fly, you know.
Yeah.
So from that moment, I've been intrigued with sneakers since then because my mom being, you know, Baptist and, you know, church was a thing, you know, and you coming up, you might get nothing for back to school.
Right.
You know what I mean? Might didn't get nothing for Christmas sometimes.
Yeah.
Right? But Easter come. You know Easter come.
You gonna be fly.
You gonna be clean.
You gonna
and
be
she never forced me to go to church, but she always got me a new pair of sneakers and a sweatsuit.
Yeah.
So that was every Easter.
Wow.
So that alone, you couldn't wait for that time. And I know I'm coming through with a new sweatsuit on and some new kicks. So that's been my love for sweatsuits. I remember talking to fashion people and everybody was jeans and blah, blah, blah. And I told my homegirl, Danny, at that moment, she was doing Valentina, one of them brands. She was working for them. And I was like, sweatsuits. And she was like, man, you never stop wearing sweatsuits. And guess what? Everybody changed back to sweatsuits again.
Absolutely.
Because sweatsuits has always been a thing for us.
So how do you take the streetwear and make it high end?
I mean,
I always find that fascinating. Like you see now Balenciaga and Fendi and all. I mean, they always take hip hop and remix it into their.
I mean, they just call what we do street because it gives them a certain thing. 1 minute is urban.
Yeah.
Next minute is street. Next minute is that. But fashion is fashion.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like when you look at it, right? I'm a Gucci fan, not from today. I remember reading the books on the family of Gucci and being intrigued with Gucci. Because think about it, back in the day, you could only go to coming from our way, you had to go to Atlantic City or Fifth Avenue to get the Gucci sneakers.
Right.
It wasn't no anywhere you go. You had to go to Atlantic City.
Yeah.
Or Fifth Avenue to get the Gucci sneakers, right? So for me, I always looked at the sneakers had been there, but without the culture side of it,
they weren't cool. They weren't cool.
You know what I mean? It's like us. I just feel like, you know, I always explain to people, it's like you go to a restaurant and the restaurant is beautiful and its ambiance is great and there's great people in there, but if the food don't taste good, I ain't coming back.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what we are.
Yeah.
We that sauce. We that sauce that makes things just taste.
So how does
good.
your brain keep making it cool? You know, do you have like a team that you consult with, or do you see something ahead of its time?
I think it's life. I just think it's life. You always got to pay attention. You know what I mean? I don't follow trends, but you got to pay attention in this world. You if you're not paying attention, you're doing yourself a disservice. It's like I tell people all the time, I don't wear designer sneakers, but I understand. The next person walk in don't wear designer sneakers. He's like, oh, forget that. You know what I mean? You can't have that mentality, right? You got to understand and you got to stay in tune, right?
Yeah.
But for me, I think for being around so long and what we have brought to this game, you always just got to continue to push being you. So if you continue to push being you, you don't really have to follow trends. You don't really have to say, you know, what's next, because everything is just a 360.
Yeah.
No one's, like I said, no one's reinventing the wheel. It's just a 360. So it's just a really touch on what's been there.
So when you decided to do the Paper Planes logo, what was that process like for you?
It was collective. It's like there's no one person can walk in the room and say, I made this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like when you got the right team and the right people around creatively, and you got people like me and you got Jay who's always in tune. Like even today, it's like when I'm doing something, I'm running it by him.
Yeah.
Why not?
Why not?
Why not? Why
I'm
not?
gonna show you how to do this, son.
Why not? Even if he give you something, if he be like, oh, it's cool. Why not? Because if he points you in one direction, if he say this not it, that can right there take you to another level. So I'm always running it by him. And then when you talk about fashion and life, we still kids, man. We still at heart.
Yeah.
At heart, it's like you still got that kid side of the heart. Like we love you. You know, I told somebody I walk out the house every day like a hit record for a reason.
Yeah.
Because that's you. I feel good, even though
I
I'm not.
walk out the house like a hit record for no reason. I love that.
Every single day. Like, think about it, even on a bad day, because you got to figure out how to shake out of that to get to the. You're not walking up in here and not showing up correctly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just.
You got to show up.
You got to show up.
You got to
You gotta
show up.
show up. It's like running to the store. So what, you throwing on your gym shoes and this and that, but you know you got a certain gym shoes. You got some certain gym shorts you like to put on that you like to run around in, and you like, okay, I feel good still.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, that's how I just look at it. I look at it just always staying in tune, but then always understanding what's been before us. And I'm always tapping it into history, right? I'm always, Puma was easy for me because when you look at, for us, where we're from,
Yeah.
when we identify Puma, we don't think about Germany. We think about Clyde Frazier, who's one of us,
I
who
was
looks
gonna
like
say,
us, come from where we come
yeah.
from. So it's like when you continue to tap into that and understand all those things, it's easier for you to say what's next or figure out what's next because, like you said, it's right in front of you.
Yeah. Yeah. So I have to ask you, as we're celebrating 50 years of hip hop, as we're doing the mixtape sneaker line, who is your favorite DJ?
Man,
That's a hard one?
No, not really. It's not really. When you talk about mixtapes, the reason why we're doing this and Clue is hosting that, because Clue changed what mixtapes meant to me.
Yeah.
Right? He took it to another level.
He absolutely
He
100% did.
He took it to another level. And when you go back, like I said, I'm gonna go back to my friend DJ Randy P, because he was giving us that experience of what was going on in the world in that little town, and like giving it to us and letting us feel it. So, from that to Clue, I was always a Ron G fan too.
Oh, I like Ron G.
I was always
Yeah. He was
Ron.
a little before my time,
Yeah,
but I liked him.
I was always because of that. Then it's just that thing. It's
I would love to see a documentary on DJ Clue. I would love for someone to put that together and showcase just how he took mixtapes to the next level and how he birthed so many mixtape DJs underneath him. I find him so interesting. Like I find drama,
Yes.
with what he's done with the mixtape scene and how they have continued to elevate and push the envelope. And not only that, like I look at Drama's transition as just being one of the greatest I've seen.
Yes.
From producing to signing artists, developing artists.
I mean, listen, I think we forget the main part. Bringing in, before you even get to the finished project where the music is out and you can see it and hear it, to be able to bring that feeling in the room for artists. Yeah. Like to give them that feeling, right? Yeah. I think that's what's so important about the DJ, right? You give them that feeling that helps them, create, right? So that's important to me. Like I think, for me, I'm gonna go back to your question. I think for me, my three is gonna be, my three and add my guy is gonna be Clue. I can't forget my guy SNS.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? SNS was, and still to this day, doing what he's doing.
Oh, SNS still get busy on them. I went to a wedding a few months ago where he DJ. He still gets busy.
Still gets busy.
No, all the right records to throw on the dance floor.
Busy.
Yeah.
And like I said, I was, Ron G was just a part of my life that I love Randy P and like I say, DJs in general. Yeah. Like it wasn't just a mixtape, the DJs in general. My brother Clark Kent, yeah. I remember one time when I first watched Clark Kent do a show.
What was that like?
It was unreal. It was like Superman, and I was like, wait a minute. He just from the DJ booth, he just put on a show. Wow. And it was from start to finish. When it was like Superman, and I was like,
you know who did that for me?
Oh my God.
Goldfingers. Remember DJ Goldfingers?
Mm-hmm.
He used, when I first started in the radio and when I was doing radio in Connecticut, he used to do all the parties here in New York. And when I used to watch him and how everyone would hit the dance floor and it would just be a vibe.
Yes.
Standing on tables, like just going the energy was just crazy.
I mean, think about it. Look at Who Kid.
Who Kid too, yeah.
Listen, man, like to be a part of that, what he's a part of, like imagine that, and to still be doing what he's doing in a whole nother level now. Like mixtapes is really something. I mean, for us, we doing a documentary, based around from the shoe. We did the round table. We doing a documentary, but like you said, I would love to see Clue.
Yeah, I
Like I would
would.
love to see that conversation. I think that's that's motion picture
But think about how
conversation.
many artists came from that. Think about like even with like when we talk about K Slay and we talk about Who Kid and we talk about all these amazing DJs. There you have Dipset, then you have 50 Cent, then you have Jay, then you have like all of these artists that you probably never would have heard of if it wasn't for the DJ.
I mean, I think that's the beauty of the mixtape, right? Because K Slay emotion came from a different place, so he's gonna play a record off the album that you're not paying attention to.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And then you go over here and Glue gonna play a record that you not like. So the DJs gave you a chance to understand and see artists more than what we seen them.
Yeah.
Because it shows you how versatile they
Yeah.
was. Because they gonna play certain records that you not even think of, and you like, man,
I didn't even know he did that.
And you became a fan from there. You be like, oh, you got a real supporter from here from here on.
Yeah.
And that was the beauty of the mixtape and the DJ.
So I have to ask your favorite album.
What?
In general, it could be any artist. In general, your favorite album that you sometimes will go back and be like, that was a clap. Reasonable Doubt. That's my favorite album.
I'm biased, man. Like it's for me it's Reasonable Doubt, and then
Sometimes I go between Reasonable Doubt and The Blueprint.
Okay, for me Reasonable Doubt, and then for me I'm going into UGK Riding Dirty, and then I'm going into Scarface Untouchable.
Wow.
And then Tupac's Me Against the World.
Yeah. I have to go Reasonable Doubt, number 1. And then I'm going to have to go Get Rich or Die Trying, number 2. And then I may have to go, this is a toss-up. I may have to go Little Kim, Hardcore.
Well, Hardcore was just special. It's special. And that's what I say when I look at my three. My three is different than what people think. Is Jay, like I say, UGK, and Scarface, because I love the Texas boys. And then, like I say, Pac had a different feeling for me. Then you got Biggie. But then after you go out of that thing, I was a Public Enemy guy.
Yeah. What bothers me the most is like, how come when they have these conversations, right? And I notice like a lot of journalists have them and a lot of people that talk hip hop, when they talk about best albums and stuff like that, why do some of them always exclude the women who contributed to the culture? Like you barely hear people talk about Little Kim's album or Foxy's album. Like those were game changers for the culture.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's as a knock to them. I just think when you throw those questions out in the room, it's not enough room to really say what you really mean about everybody else. Because even though I said them three mean something different to me for a reason. Like for a different reason. And that didn't mean I didn't love the other albums or other things, right? It just they mean something different. So it didn't mean that such and such album wasn't just as important.
Yeah.
It just means something different. And we, that's just the world we're in, right? But, for me, I grew up off Queen Latifah and all that. You know what I mean? Like, come on, man. Like, so you have to respect the women just as much. It's just in a world we just, sometimes get from speaking on it. Get from speaking on it, right? You know what I mean? Because thanks, sorry to cut you off. Hip hop is a contact, opinionated sport, and a lot of times you keep the women out of the contact. You know what I'm saying? It's like, that's all. That's respectfully.
I love that perspective.
It's respectfully. You know what I'm saying? Like I think from a respect standpoint, you keep them out of it. It's not. It's not. You can't take nothing.
But
away
as
from
we're
them.
celebrating 50 years of hip hop, I would love to see a hardcore documentary. I wanna know like what was the vision? Like it's just so many like, and me and Kim, we have these conversations all the time.
So why are you not making it happen then?
I should.
Exactly. Don't wait for somebody else.
You just gave me an idea.
Don't wait for somebody else to do it. You the way you're passionate about it, you're gonna make sure it comes out and feel the way it needs to feel. And that's what needs to happen when you talk about certain things. It needs to come from that waste and that place. Wow. You need to make it happen.
Okay. That's a gem. I'm gonna take that. That's a great walk away for me. Absolutely. I never thought about it. Yeah.
You got relationships?
Absolutely,
You
and I
got
got a new one right
yeah,
now.
you got you got a platform. You've been through it to see it through a different lens, just like a lot of people, and that's what people need to see about. That's why it's important for Clue. Like
Yes,
I feel like Clue has so much to offer the world and the
he
industry and
does.
just kids and everything else just off the conversation.
And did you know when you was putting this together that he was the person that you wanted to voice the
No,
mixtape?
no, but the female, this part of our team, Cheyenne, who's really been driving the car of this whole project, making it happen, her and Sherry, and they both as females made that call and put it on the board like Clue is the one.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm like, okay, I listen. Let's go. And we had a conversation, and here we are.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
I love
So
that.
the women get the credit.
Yes.
Absolutely, I can't take no credit for that. They get all the credit for that.
I love that. I love that. So what's next for you, Emory Jones? What's next?
Um, I think for me, it's hard to say what's next because I honestly don't know. I honestly don't know. But I think I'm gonna step more into my greatness, and I think stepping more into my greatness is a lot of opportunity. There's a lot of like I said, this mixtape and not just the shoe and not just selling the shoe and not just the music, just how everything came about and the feeling and how I feel like the artists are taking this opportunity and run with it and that feels good. So watching them run with it and watching them find their greatness and step into it has been so fulfilling that I think I need to figure out what's next to outdo that feeling.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's outdo this feeling. Puma, I'm not going nowhere. I feel like we just getting started. I feel like we really figuring it out even more. So I'm looking at that next 10 years of that because for me it's been 12 years and it's been a walk down. Like it's like I tell people all the time, I've never been one to take nothing from nobody. I've never been that guy. I've never, but that was the first time in my life I put a ski mask on and stuck it up. Like it's like I laid under the car and like slept under the car, watching what was going on, learning what was going on, and taking that process and it paid off in a way because I feel like to help change other people's life with that's more rewarding, right? Yeah. Because, business is good. They take care of you. That's great. But to see how you can take these situations and help other people kick in doors and change their lives, I think that's
the rewarding feeling.
That's the win-win. Yeah. Pay it forward.
Yeah, to pay it forward.
Pay it forward. But I still need to take this time and say what I'm gonna do for me. Yeah. So it's a lot in the air.
Yeah. Well, I love it. Well, congratulations. This is a phenomenal line that you have come up with, you and your entire team. Like I said, guys, look how beautiful these are. And it's available now. Tell everybody where they can go and get everything.
Yeah. Well, right now they're available footlocker.com. Certain Foot Lockers in New York, 125th, 34th, 42nd, over that way. Puma.com. Puma flagship store. So, right now we just kicked off the first single from the mixtape, Take Over with the guys. Like I said, the full mixtape we're gonna come, I think we're gonna release on like August the 10th. You know what I mean? So, but it's a lot of good content. We filmed everything of this whole process. Wow. So it's real good content. We kicked off, first thing we kicked off was the round table with the guys with Wayno. Wow. And Clue and Jim Jones and who else? Holiday and it was good.
DJ Holiday from Atlanta.
Yeah, Lenny S. What I mean. My dope guy Ron C. OG Ron C. was you know what I mean. So it was good. You know what I mean. It was a good feeling. We had a lady. She represented. So started there and just walking the journey there because I think it's a broader conversation than just a sneaker. Yeah. It's just we just want to add.
And who's all on the mixtape?
Man, it's a pot of gumbo. It's a pot of gumbo. From our side, you start off with, Ruben Vincent, young kid from North Carolina by way of Africa. You got RJ from New Orleans, Tyreek, he's from south side of Chicago. Wow. Huey V, Milwaukee, Kalen for real, he's from Compton.
You got a lot.
Johnny Coco from Texas. Wow. So you got that, but then we got, Rhapsody got female.
Right.
You know what I mean? Some other flavor on there. It's good. It's good. Guap Dad 4000 from out of Oakland. You know what I
Nice.
mean? Huh? Vic Missing.
Oh,
Oh, Vic, like,
went crazy.
nah. It felt. I think that's what the project done. It brought off. It takes you back to why you love people like Vic.
Yeah.
Like
And was you in a studio in a recording process of the mixtape?
absolutely, like I said, absolutely. 80% of this, like I said, we did in 4 days in L.A.
Wow.
4 days, artists never been together and just come together and just put that energy in the room and
Wow.
it fed from there. You know what I mean? And it
And I
feels
think
amazing.
that's the best
Feels
body of
amazing.
work when you get them in the studio versus sending beats and all
Yes.
of that. It's
Yeah,
just
I think the
magical.
work gonna speak for itself. I think the music, it all goes back to the music. We talking about rap.
Yeah.
It feels like rap.
Yeah.
And like I said, for Clue to wrap his arms around it, I don't think he's just gonna wrap his arms around on anything. And him and Doro, they molded up. Like come on, man. We talking about you got Clue outside legendary Doro. Come on, man. Like it's special.
I'm
It's
I'm
special.
so happy. I'm so
Special.
happy y'all are doing this with him. I'm just so happy because I feel like he needs to tell his story more. Especially for this generation who may not know. One thing I always say that I love about Wu-Tang so much is that them telling them their story never gets old.
Never gets old.
Never gets
Never
old.
gets old. But I think he's ready.
Yeah.
I think I can tell he's a thinker.
Yeah.
And I think like anybody else, everybody got to go and do what's best for them at that moment. And I think that's what he's done with his life. But I think at this moment, I think the spark is there because you see what's happening, and he's a part of this 50-year hip hop. He has a real page in that book.
Yeah.
Right? That he can really go and tell the world and let the world see it through a different lens.
Into it.
So I think he's gonna step into it big time.
Yeah, step into it. I often have these conversations with DJ Enough, who DJs my show at 12 o'clock. And I'm like, you're
Another
a veteran.
OG.
You're OG. Step into it. Step into it.
Yes.
Tell people your legacy.
Yeah.
Don't run away from it.
Yeah. Because who gonna tell it better than you?
Better than you.
Don't wait till you're gone and you gotta have people to be all over the place to have it broken up. When you got a chance to tell it yourself,
Yeah.
you got to tell yourself.
God bless her dad when K Slade passed away, man. And just for me, that was like that hit home so much for me as far as like just respecting our icons and like what they contributed to this culture and on a different type of level. Because sometimes we take it for granted.
Listen, DJ K Slay, God bless it dead. I remember being in Fort Dix, right? During that time of, music was, that was that, Rockefellers, everything was going in the state property and everything was happening. And I remember when Clay Slay used to come on, we was in dorms, right? So you would look out at a certain time and you would look out the hallway. Everyone is in the hallway holding a wire to try to find a reception to lock in the Hot 97 at that moment. Like that's how we used to, because you all the way down to South Jersey.
Yeah.
You all the way down to the beginning, South Jersey. So it ain't like you getting a clear signal.
Right.
So certain times when the radio come on and that's all we had, people in the bathrooms, everybody got their spot.
They want to hear the shout outs.
Hold a wire, like, and that's the beauty of, culture,
And he didn't let you forget about those that were locked down.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? He
called it out.
He called it out.
He called it out. That's why everybody was like even if he didn't call your place out, you felt like he was speaking to all of us, right? So it was that, like, I'm telling you walk down the hallway, it's like everybody in the world, like, got their spot.
And I'm glad people are doing this and celebrating 50 years of hip hop. And like, we just got to keep it going.
Yes.
We just got to keep it going, and we got to keep putting it top of mind that, just because somebody hits a certain age or whatever, like, you can't take away what they contributed to the culture. You got to respect it, and just got to.
I mean, I think for me, and I say this, and the reason why I'm doing it and having this conversation, because I think when you look at hip hop culture, we have never been in a box. And the world is so programmed. The world is don't get me wrong, we had Hot 97, it's a program, but it's a big program. It's a big, beautiful program. But hip hop, the reason why we 50 years down and still got so much to do and so relevant is because we've never been programmed. We've never been in a box. That's the beauty of hip hop, right? And I think right now with this mixtape and how we approached it and how we took it back to that was though we're not making it about how many records we sell or how much spins we getting. Like let the music speak for itself. It takes us out the program.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes, it's needed. Don't get me wrong.
Absolutely.
Program is what it is.
I
and it's
1000% agree with
It's
you.
needed.
I tell this to artists all the time. Take yourself out the program. Stop worrying about charts and this and that and data and this. Like, just be as creative as you possibly can be, and everything will work itself out.
So that's how I look at this project and what we're doing. And like I said, Clue.
Congratulations. Well, listen, congratulations again. And thank you so much for stopping by today. It's been such a pleasure to speak to you. Oh, my God. It's amazing. I can check this off my bucket list. All right.
My pleasure.
It's Tap In with TT. It's Emory Jones, everybody. Thank you so much. All right. It's Hot 97.